many, many years undiagnosed. We decided that what we needed to do was establish legitimacy by funding research. This is a true grassroots effort. The people who have this disease have absolutely nothing in common but the disease. And all of us were at some point in time, at least in the early days, we were rejected by the medical profession. So we banded together, and it occurred all over the country. It's amazing. These support groups just popped up, and you know, there were hundreds of them 5 years ago, and there's 1,000 of them today.
One obvious target for support has been celebrities, including many who suffer from SIFIDs.
My experience with celebrities who have this disease is primarily, not all of them, but with the majority, is that they're very unwilling to come forward because they're afraid of what it might do to their career.
I know a large number of people now that I didn't know before who had it, and they too kept it a secret. Lawyers, you know, a lot of my friends are in politics, you know, people with very serious careers who could not in any way show this weakness.
If somebody has $200 million, if they don't come up with at least $100,000 or $200,000 a year, I think they're nuts. It's not that I don't think they're socially irresponsible. That's a completely different issue. Certainly they're completely and totally socially irresponsible. But if you have money and you're not funding research, you're stupid. You're basically dumb.
On October 12, 1992, people with SIFIDs held a rally for the first time at the International Biotechnology Exposition in San Francisco.
When I got down here, I saw the sign on the wall, the banner that says, "In memory of Jean Hardy." She's a SIFIDs patient from North Carolina. She was featured on a CNN story, and she talked in that story about thinking about committing suicide because there was just no hope.
I can't wait to go to sleep at night so I can forget the pain.
And now it's become real. Just how long is it going to take before this whole street is full of black and white signs that say "In memory of"?
Why are you wearing photographs on your blouse?
This is my son, because he wants me to remember him. And the reason that I hang on, even though it's hard, is because I want to be around for him. I want to see him get married. I want to see him go to school. And there's a lot of times that I don't feel like I'm going to be able to do it. So,
But why does he think you might not remember him?
I guess because I forget a lot of things once in a while.
What are you doing here with the camera?
Oh, I wanted to take it back and share it with the rest of our support group. There's too many that are too sick to come.
I have one who couldn't come because she couldn't even bring her reclining wheelchair to be here. People are just too ill to attend. We've tried letter writing campaigns. They're too ill to write letters.
How many more people are sick, do you think, than are able to come today?
Oh, hundreds.
Why are you sitting? You look like it's just a nice day in the park.
I don't feel well enough to be standing up.
I'd like to stop hearing doctors say, if I believed in CFIDs, then we could do so-and-so. It's not a situation of believing in CFIDs. This is not the tooth fairy. It's not Christmas. CFIDs is a disease.
Well, I think that it's very possible that the kind of adversarial approach may have affected the willingness of many people to get involved in this field. I think there's no question about that.
Support groups that have formed around SIFIDs have done more for bringing attention to this disease and to bring some support, although most of it private, to those of us who are researchers trying to define this and find a solution in therapy. They've rallied companies to take it seriously. And they've rallied politicians to recognize that this is a major issue.
They got the language of chronic fatigue into the budget hearings the last 2 years, and that was a real accomplishment.
Without that attention, we wouldn't be seeing any focus on this disease in the 1990s. Absolutely not.
In the fall of 1992, an International SIFIDs Clinical Research Conference was held in Albany, New York. Organized by patient groups, the conference was attended by leading scientists from around the world. Finally, syphilis was gaining legitimacy in medical circles.
Physicians or researchers are studying certain areas which are on the cutting edge of medical science, and chronic fatigue syndrome really comes to embody many of these.
We're working on understanding the immune system. We're working on understanding what cytokines do in autoimmune disease, in cancer, in AIDS, in many different disorders. So what we can do in advancing this understanding in terms of a disease like syphilis will have wide ramifications to diseases in general and to understanding how we can manipulate the immune system to help us instead of hurt us.
I think there are three areas of research right now that seem to be most promising. One is research into infectious agents that may play a role in this illness. None have yet been conclusively shown to be a cause of this illness, but it's possible. Second, immune system changes that may be playing a role in this illness. There are several already that have been identified, and there may be more to be discovered. And a third very exciting area is changes in brain hormones or brain chemicals that could influence the immune system, could influence viruses that are already in the body, and these are areas where there's already a lot of research that's underway.
The most pressing question is, what is the cause of syphilis?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. No one knows what the cause of this condition is, and there's a lot of controversy about it.
And it's analogous to the first meetings, again, with HIV that we had in 1983, where the ecologists were saying it's toxins in the air, and the Epstein-Barr people were saying it's Epstein-Barr, and the fungus people were saying it was fungus. I mean, all these same arguments aired in 1983 when there was another new and mysterious illness floating around. The point is, there's still a lot of research to do, and people have to perceive this illness first as real, which has been a struggle. Second, as complicated and deserving a very in-depth and careful approach that's going to take years to accomplish.
Another question that especially worries patients and people close to them is syphilis contagious?
And people with syphilis do have terror about it. They think, should I be around this baby? Should I be around this family? Am I Typhoid Mary? Is everyone going to catch this disease from me?
The disease is not contagious. That we think the agent that causes disease is everywhere. And many people have already been infected, and they don't show any signs of the disease. It depends on the genetic makeup of the individual or where their immune system is at the time that the agent enters.
So I don't see any real reason to be telling people you can't be around people with chronic fatigue, or chronic fatigue people, no, you can't be around society. The bigger risk is actually to the chronic fatigue patient from the infections that society carries, their colds and the flus.
Despite what the experts say, syphilis advocates aren't so sure.
This is probably an infectious disease. We know that because we've seen whole towns full of people come down with it. We've seen families come down with it. We've seen groups of people in the workforce come down with it. Now, what we always say is the majority of people with syphilis aren't around other people who have it, which means that on some level, everybody's not getting it. Maybe everybody's getting it and they're not symptomatic. But what we know is somehow it's passing through the population.
So what is known about syphilis? Very little. Researchers have observed both immune system overactivation and under-response, endocrine abnormalities, and viral activity.